Beth Rigby from Sky.
Thank you, Beth Rigby, Sky News. Prime Minister Attlee was the Labour PM credited with creating the welfare state. You're the Labour PM that wants to create or be known for creating a warfare state, but you're not putting your money where your mouth is. NATO says members should commit 3.5% of GDP to defence spending by 2032, and you are not even committing 3% in the next Parliament, an ambition, but you are not committing it. To govern is to choose. What is your choice? Is it properly funding defence, or is it cutting, reversing winter fuel cuts, or is it lifting the two-child benefit cap? What's the choice? And if I may, on Gaza, I asked you a couple of weeks ago whether you thought you were doing enough. You said the situation was intolerable. The situation continues. Is there any concrete action you now think the UK needs to take?
Thank you, Beth. Let's start with Attlee, because he led a proud Labour government that was one of the founding members of NATO. And NATO, in the intervening 80 years, has been the most successful alliance in the world in terms of preserving peace. And so Attlee was at the very start of that's one of the proudest things in our Labour history. So I stand here in that tradition, conscious that my job is not to reflect on the 80 years that NATO has kept the peace, but to make sure that NATO also keeps the peace for decades to come. And that is my responsibility, just as it was Attlee's responsibility in the first place, to have a government that was far-sighted enough to create NATO in the first place. Our commitment to NATO is huge in terms of the contribution we already make. As you know, we commit our nuclear capability to NATO for all of our allies and other capability. And we will have at the heart of this review a NATO-first approach. Of course, there are discussions about what the contribution should be going into the NATO conference in 2 or 3 weeks' time. But that conference is much more about what sort of NATO will be capable of being as effective in the future as it's been in the last 80 years. And that's a vital conversation that we do need to have, and we're right at the heart of that. In relation to Gaza, look, the situation is intolerable in Gaza and getting worse by the day, which is why we are working with allies to be clear in saying it's intolerable, to be absolutely clear that there needs to be a ceasefire, to be absolutely clear that humanitarian aid needs to get in at speed and at volumes that it is not getting in at the moment. It's causing absolute devastation. And, of course, to continue our work to secure the release of hostages who've been held for a very, very long time. We're working closely with allies on that. We'll continue to do so. Thank you very much, Beth.